So let's okay, let's go. So I'm not Arab. No. So here's the thing.
What is your point?
Let me tell you.
What is your point?
Let me tell you. First of all, there's a lot of misconception and facts about Israel and about the Arabs who live in Israel. Did you know, for instance? Let's start with the beginning. In Israel, there's 2 million Arabs, 1.6 million Muslims. Okay, 145,000 Christians, 140,000 Druze Arabs, and also 130,000 Bedouin Arabs Muslims. So now that we realize, first of all, who are they? Who we are, the Arab society who live in Israel, let's talk about what's going on in Israel. You immediately say, oh, no Arab Muslim will accept that. Here, fact. Next week, they will be appointed the first Arab Muslim in Israel to be the Supreme Court judge. Just today, yes? In Israel, despite the stigma, you know stigma, right? They say, oh, no, please, I'm trying to educate. Hold on, I'm trying to educate. Hold on, please. There's a stigma that the Jews control the money, right? I know, people love to say that. Yet the biggest bank in Israel, listen to me guys, man. The biggest bank in Israel is called Bank Leumi, okay? The head of that biggest bank in Israel is Samer Haj Yahya, an Arab Muslim from Tayyip. Now this is something that simply I'm giving. Do you know that there is an actual...
What's your point though? What is your point?
My point is simple.
Just give me your point.
I am. If you want to listen, I'll tell you.
What's this point?
My point is there's much behind what the media tells you. There's much behind what is the social media represent. There's so much more than just saying, oh, the Arabs are against Israel, or Israel against the Arabs, or Israel is killing Arabs, or Israel is... It's not like that. And in fact, out of the course of history, Arabs actually killed Arabs more than Israel killed Arabs. That's a fact. Check all of everything I'm saying to you. But if you want to talk more...
So the Arabs, one second. So the Arabs have misplaced millions of Arabs, have they? They've killed a lot. Around 1 second. Listen. Millions of Muslims have been displaced from their homeland.
Have you spoke like this when Assad did that to his own people? Have you said the same thing? When hundreds, millions of Syrians... Oh no, we're not talking about Syria. Because it's easy to come and talk about Israel when you have more facts.
No, but when you have something about... You just said
why it's easy for you.
Why it's easy about displacement here.
Yeah?
Millions of Palestinians have been displaced from their homeland. Millions,
Oh, rubbish.
Let me tell you, I will speak the truth. 750,000. That's the number. Let's start from that. Now, because of the let's call it the law, or because of what UNRWA did, which actually giving everyone a status of how do you call the status of an immigrant? Yes. Everyone who is actually born.
Anyway, make your point.
Make my point. But
let him speak.
Make your point.
Let him speak.
Listen, if you want me to make my point, you have to let me to speak, because you need to understand what's going on further than that. Everybody comes and say, hey, Israel is that, Israel is that. Sit down here with me to tell you a little bit about what's going on with me. Man, listen, I know you're trying. First of all, English is my third language, okay?
It's my fourth.
If you speak English like me, with its your third language, then you can come on, talk about it. Come on, man. Be respectful.
I'm joking. Calm down.
Listen to the thing.
It was a joke.
This is the thing. When we speak about this, unfortunately, people are dying, and this is not a joke. This is not a joke. And I'm here because I want people to be a little bit educated about the situation, because I am suffering. I am suffering, man. So I really appreciate you. You know, that's even crazier. If I'm speaking to Ukrainian, that's even crazier about what's going on. We see how the world is talking what's going on here. Israel, Ukraine, all over the place. Syria. You know what? People are talking about like murdering kids in Syria, and then they say Israel. How many of you actually knew that Israel treated Syrian women, Syrian kids? I saw it in my own eyes. Of course they did. I saw it in my own eyes. One of the biggest leader of the hospitals in Nahariya, which is the biggest hospital in Nahariya. The chairman of that hospital, the manager of that hospital, is an Arab Israeli. His name is Mis'ad Barhu. He himself had did that project. He himself came and actually took upon himself to treat Syrian kids, to treat Syrian women, Syrian men, civilians who injured because of the war, because of the civil war, because of Assad's regime, and because of ISIS. Nobody's talking about it. This is something that Syrian kids will vouch for it. Years from now, when they grow up and understand that they took treatment from Israel, while Syria left them alone. But you know what? Here's the craziest thing. People talking about the IDF. Here's the craziest thing. The IDF, that murderer army, kids, all this. That IDF, literally, raised money and built 2 field clinics for Syrians in Syria. Now nobody wants to talk about that because hell no, Israel is doing that? No, Israel is genocide, Israel is ethnic cleansing. Israel is committing crime wars. Let me tell you something. Genocide, you know what genocide means? When masculine. So here's the thing, ethnic cleansing. Yeah. What happened, for instance, ethnic cleansing, if you go, okay, and take the Jews during the Holocaust. From 9 million went to 3 million. That's 6 million Jews were killed during the Holocaust. That's ethnic cleansing. That's genocide. Now, don't listen to me. Go to the Palestinian Authority Statistic Office. Okay? Go there. It's online. So how it's possible to have ethnic cleansing and genocide where the Statistic Office in Palestine shows that in every city, in every village, every town, there is an increase in the population. If someone is doing a mass murder or genocide, you would see decrease. You would see ethnic cleansing. You would see people disappearing. What about outside? Hold on. Gaza.
Israel's surrounded by Islam.
19.
Israel's a pinprick on the map.
Here it is. 1948. Israel was established. Since 1948, in Gaza, there were 200,000 Arabs. Today, 2 million. Inside Israel, there were 156,000.
They gave up the Gaza Strip, didn't they?
Well, yeah, but they done. But they first of all done it about 14 years ago. But no,
he's talking about Hamas.
Gaza.
Yeah, but not just that. Understand that in Israel, inside Israel, we were 156,000. My grandparents, my parents. I'm from the north of Israel, from a village called Izhesh. Okay, so we now 2 million Arabs living in Israel. If Israel wanted to ethnic cleanse us, it's easy. We were only 150,000. Further than, let's go to the West Bank. That's the most crucial territory indeed, and we can debate and talk about it because there is problems, and indeed Israel needs to take actions to solve the problems as well as the Palestinians, for sure. I'm not saying Israel is a perfect country, don't get that from me, despite that being a proud Arab and a proud citizen of Israel. But even in the West Bank, there were a couple of 100,000. Today, there is, according to the PA, there's 2.3. I know that the real number is 1.7, 1.8 million. Now, if we want to talk about honesty, and if we want to be fully honest about this issue, why don't we seriously consider and talk about what is Hamas doing? What is Hamas doing? I mean seriously.
You jump to Hamas.
I'll get back wherever you want. I'm just giving what I want to say.
He's giving you the facts.
And you know what?
He's giving you the facts.
It's very easy. When someone speaks about Hamas, immediately goes like, oh, you're leaving Israel. Why? Because Hamas is not part of the equation? Because you think that Hamas only terrorizing Jews? Only terrorizing Israelis? Do you know that in the last battle, Arabs were killed? In that battle between Gaza and Israel? More than that, do you know that I have friends in Gaza? They literally texted me and told me that, listen, we need to go out and celebrate the win. What win? Gaza was destroyed. What win you're celebrating? And he said, we have to go. If we don't get out of the house and celebrate, they will come and they will do something to us. What celebrate? Gaza is bombed. And I'm saying it, and I know that everywhere war is something bad. Every war is something not good. People lose their lives, Israelis, Palestinians, kids, women. This is not right. But when you speak only about one part of the equation without the other, you don't give the full picture. Is Israel perfect, my friends? Far away from it. Do we have racism in Israel? I'm as an Arab, I suffer from racism. Don't tell me don't suffer from racism here in the UK. Don't tell me you, with the look, with the way we look. Don't tell me you don't.